Hello there. In today's tutorial, we're going to take a look at this beautiful design and implement it in React using style components. But before we get started, let's take a look at the design itself and who designed it. Okay, the design itself is a shot on the dribble, and it's called Tour Agency app, designed by her. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce this, but I call her Anna. And she got some beautiful designs over here on Dribble. Make sure you guys check it out. I picked this one for our tutorial, and we're going to take a look at how to implement this using React and styled components. So let's take a look at the final results here. We got the main page over here, same as this one, but the pictures are different because I didn't have access to the pictures that were used in the design, so I chose my pictures, and there you go. We have a big carousel here, same as the one we have here, and I added some animation to it. So as you can see, when you hover on it, the arrow to the right gets a bit to the left and the background size get changed. Same for the small carousel, but the difference is there is no price or description or any icons. Okay. In the next section, we got this page. I called it info page. If you click on big carousel, you get redirected or navigated to that page. And we are using React router here. And as you can see, we got top navigation and bookmark here. If we press the back button, it works and gets us back to the last page or last component or whatever. Here we have some summary about the tour. The tabs here, the tabs are not functional. I could have made them functional, but I've decided to skip that part because I wanted to keep the tutorial as short as possible. Here is the full description about the tour, the length of the tour, the language that the tour is being offered in, and the full description about the tour. Here is the price and the book now button. Okay, now that we know where the design came from and how the final project is going to look, let's go into the next step and start coding. Okay, before we get started, we need to head over to my GitHub and go to this repository and clone this because it's a pre-configured repository including styled components and the color.js file which I've created to manage and kind of distribute the colors across the project. So in order to clone this repository, I need to come here to my GitHub folder. You can go anywhere you want in your computer. It's totally on you. Uh, and open CMD here. If you're on Mac, you could use terminal. Type in git clone. Type the URL, or you could copy and paste it over here. Git clone and paste the URL. Give the project or the destination folder a name. I'm going to call it YT React UI Tour app and press enter. Keep in mind that you could go ahead and type npx create React app and name it whatever you want, and it will create a React project for you. But um, I've cleaned some files, some CSS files, and included the styled components in this repository. It's kind of exactly the same output as the Create React app, but I've made some changes and configured some styled components and the color.js. So feel free to use both of them. But if you're using npx, make sure you install the styled components. Okay, let's get back over here and navigate to this folder we just created and open code here. The very first step, we are going to go into the package.json file and change the name over here yt react UI tour app. Control S. Okay, we need to install two packages for this project. use the following command: npm install. We need React icons and the React router DOM, and press enter. Okay, now that we've installed those two packages, we're going to go ahead and type in npm install to install all of the other packages that are listed in here. Okay, it's going to be quick. After that, we're going to go ahead in this source folder, assets and colors.js. I'm going to remove this, the default values, remove this too, and paste my colors. I got the colors from before, so we'll go ahead and paste them over here. Oops. Paste them over here. It's kind of the same, but the values are different. Save this, and let's come over here and delete some default values from this app component. If you go ahead and type npm start, the project is going to get started, so you're going to wait for it. And as you can see, it's already putting up. I'm going to resize it so we can get a good glimpse of it while we're coding. Right over here. Yes. Okay, we need to remove this and create our project. So I'm going to remove the title, remove this from this component from here, and now we're good to go. Let's go to the index file, check if everything's fine here, and you could change these values if you want. I'm using the Poppins font, uh, and okay, let's go back here and import something from React DOM. First of all, we need to import browser router from React DOM as a router, then the routes and the route. Keep in mind that we are using the version 6 of the React DOM, and the object's name are changed. So if you want to keep yourself updated, you could come over here and type React router DOM version 6, and you can find the documents over here if you're curious. So as you can see, we should wrap our whole route directories inside a browser router, which we just imported as router. So I'm coming down here and cut this. Let me close this, and sidebar. You could press Ctrl B to close the sidebar. It's Command B, I guess, on the Mac. So I'm going to type router here and paste the app element inside. The next step is going to be defining the routes element. The route itself inside the route element. It should be nested inside it. So I will define the router, routes, and define some routes in it. So here I'm going to create a route component. We should pass in the exact. We should give it a path. On that path, the component will be rendered. So if I give this info/info and give it some elements to render, you could pass in your components here directly, or type some JSX. Because we don't have any components right now, I'm going to type some JSX here. I call this info. Right here, I'm going to close this and copy. If you press Alt and Shift and press your arrow key up or down, you will duplicate the line above it or below it, depending on which arrow you press. So I'm going to change this to home and change the path to root. So and take this. Okay. If we refresh the page, you can see we are in the home directory, and if we navigate to the info, we get the info. Now that we have configured our routes and navigation system, let's go ahead and create our home page component. I will press F1 and type new file. New file, And actually, I'm going to create a folder called components here. New folder components, and create our file in here, which we're going to call homepage.js. Inside here, I'm going to use a snippet for React functional components and copy this over here, create styled components. But before that, we need to import it. Import styled from React styled components. And now we can go ahead and say const homepage element. Keep in mind that we cannot name the variable the same as the function here. So I'm going to add L or elements at the end of each variable, which is main component for that page, and give it a style.div as the tag to render, and it's going to be a div. So I'm going to replace this with this, and we're good to go. So type home here, home page, and I'm going to replace it with this JSX here, home page, and it will auto import it for me. So if we go back here and refresh the page, we can see the home page. Okay. I'm going back here. In here in the home page, we need two things, two or three things. First is the top section. Let me open the picture of the design right here. We need the top section. Do this. Now we're good to go. We need the top section, which contains the location title, the location itself, and the search bar. So I'm going to come over here and create a new component called home page top section. The naming doesn't have to be the same as mine. You can name it whatever you want, but I'm going to name it like this. So in here, I'm going to import styled from components. Create a new React component here using a snippet, and as the same as other component, I'm going to call this L equals to style.section, and it's going to use the section tag for the rendering. So let me use this here and here, and now we can type in top section. Let's go back over here and include it inside our component, main component, home page top section. Okay. Now that we have our top section inside the home page, we're going to design the elements inside it. So let's jump back over here into the homepage top section. We need some icons. If you want to see the icons which we just imported or installed using the npm react icons, you can see them over here. If you come here and type react icons, you can see that you got all this component, all these icon fonts here, and you can use them all in your project. All you have to do is go ahead and search. We need a pin icon for this section and search icon. So I'll go ahead and search pin, and as you can see, there is a lot of icons that you could use here. Oops. I'm going to use the one called Aya. There it is, Aya iOS pin. So in order to use this, you have to import it as following, like this. Import the icon name, which is the Aya iOS pin, from the React icons.io, or if you have auto importer extension installed, you could go ahead and type like this. As you can see, it doesn't work right now. I don't know what's the problem. I think I should restart the extension host, but never mind. Let me import it manually. Import this icon from React icons. Oh, it should work fine now. See it. We got the icon here, so we're good to go. We need this icon and a search icon. Let me find the search over here. For the search icon, we're going to use this. So if I come here, I'm gonna give it another chance for the other importer. And nope, it's not going to work. So I have to copy this, paste this here, and report it from AI. So now if we press save and test this component, it's actually a component which shows a 3G icon. So yes, we got the search icon. So let's go ahead and create our elements. We're going to create a div container, which is the homepage section element. We display that as a flex box and arrange the items in a column. So we get this in center and get this one in the bottom. Okay. We need to define a search, which is going to wrap around this and contain two objects. One is the icon and other one is the input. So styled, I'm going to use span here. You could use div or anything you want, but I'm going to use span here. Come here and create a scheme of the component. Then I'm going to convert the scheme to the styled component. So first of all, we need h5 for this right here, your location, another h element which is h4, and the pin icon. Let's here and type in Bali donation. We're good to go. Okay. For the bottom section, I'm going to import the search. Inside the search, we need the icon, search icon, and the input itself. Okay. Now that we have these, let me go ahead and style them for you. I'm going to make styled, shared or common styled components for h4 and h5 items because we are going to use them in other pages too. So I'm going to create a folder here called styled. Inside the components folder, I'm creating a folder called styled, and inside that I'm going to make a file called h4.styled.js, which is a styled component. Import styled from styled components, const h4 equals to styled.h4 and export that as default h4. Now we're good to go, and we can use this h4 in every page, everywhere we want. It's a shared component. So in here I'm going to replace h4 with this h4. It will auto import it for me. So, and we need to do the same for h5. So create a new file called h5.style.js. Inside here import styled from styled component, const h5 equals to style.h5, and there we go. Export default. Sorry, I need time to get used to this new keyboard. So h5, here it is. I will replace it. We should be fine. Let me create a new input here. So set this that new file called input.style.js, import from styled components, same as the ones before. Input equals to style dot input and export default. I don't know why I can't type default, but there you go, and it's all fine. Okay, now that we have our input, I will replace it over here, and let's go to the styling. First, we're going to set this to display flex, or give it a min height of 25% of the viewport, or the parent, not the viewport, the parent. Min height 25%, like this. I think we need to change something inside the home page. Okay, let's get back to the home page. We should do some styling over here. So the display is going to be flex. Sorry, display is going to be flex. The flex direction is the column. And because it's the page which is being loaded inside the app component, we wanted to take the whole page. So I'm giving this a flex of 1, so it will take all the space available for it. And in the next step, I'm going to set the overflow to hidden, because anything passes these boundaries of this component, we don't want it to be shown. And we go, okay, now that we passed the desirable colors, let's go over here and do the same for the H4. I'm going to come here, remove this. It was just a showcase. I'm going to rewrite it in other ways. So if the let me pass the props first. If the p.color, if the p or the color prop exists, we're going to use it as our color, like this. As you can see, I will use this for a string, or maybe I could use this single quotes plus p.color. And if it does not exist, just don't do anything, leave it as default. So if it doesn't get this, it won't use the color at all. It won't give the color attribute or styling to this component at all. So let's get back over here, copy this, paste it over here, go over here, copy this for the H4, and same as input, you can use that for input too if you want to give it some default styling. So come here, give it to input too. So now that we've done that, we can see our H4 and H5's text color just got changed. So let's go ahead and style the font on the, or maybe we could go ahead and style the search bar. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. In order to style the search bar, we're going to give it a position absolute. Position absolute. It should stick to the bottom, so bottom is going to be 0. The display of this two is going to be flex. The display direction is the row, we don't change that. But actually we should give the input the full width, or 90% or something like that, or flex 1. Flex 1 is a good idea, because if we change the size of this font, the input takes the all available space for it. So we could make this search icon as big as we want. No matter what, this input gets the all available space for it. So let's come inside the input. Oops. Okay. Inside here, I'm going to make a custom prop called flex, maybe flex 1 or something like that, or maybe full width. Full width is a good idea. If p dot full width exists, make the type here flex 1, and if it does not exist, don't do anything. So if we get back over here and type full width, as you can see, it does get applied, but the size of the parent is like this. So we should give a size to the parent. Let's get back over here inside this and type width of 85% of the parent. So as you can see, it gets straight out. We should align the items to center. Next step is going to be set the background color. Background color. We're going to give the parent a background and remove the borders of the input, so it looks like we actually have a big input, but it's just a background of the parent, and the input is transparent and there is no border to it. So background color is going to be colors dot background. The next step is going to set the border radius. These little curves here. Border radius to 30 pixels. If you're going to need some paddings, I'm going to give 0.6 rem padding for the sides and for the top and bottom, and 1 rem for the sides, as you can see. Now we need to remove the border of this input, so I will need another props. Let me copy this and call this no border. No borders here, border is going to be none. Otherwise, don't do anything. So if I pass the no border, what's wrong here? Border to none. So, oh, there should be a colon, semicolon here, and as well as here. No, it should work here. As you can see, we have this. There's an outline, but when you focus on this input, there's an outline drawn here. We can remove this by doing this. And sign here. This sign here refers to the element itself. So you can go ahead and type focus and give some focus here, some styling focus. And I'm going to set the outline to none. And if we save this, you can see when I click here, we see no outline. Let's give it some placeholder. Search. Place. Search. How it's working. As you can see, we almost got ourselves this design, but we needed drop shadow, and we need the color of this icon to be changed. So I'm going to go ahead here and type color equals to colors dot gray. Column here, so as you can see, the icon got changed. I'm going to resize the icon, maybe. Let me see. Okay, but first we gotta move the search bar a little bit to the bottom, so it gets cross here. So to do that, I'm going to come over here, type transform translate x or y, the y axis, and minus 50% of the object itself. So sorry, 50% of the object itself. As you can see, it goes under. It should not happen. So it goes under this. I think the problem is here because we didn't include our components inside the app elements. So in order to do that, I'm going to wrap these ones inside the app elements, and in here check this, there should not be justify content center and align item center. So we could use the justify center if we want, but I rather not to. And as you can see, it goes back up on top of the layer. So we go back here and give it some box shadow to implement this shadow over here. I have the values already here, so I will paste them, and as you can see, we get this nice little shadow here. So let's go ahead and restyle this too to match the designs in the photo. In order to do that, I'm going to come over here into the H5 to the H5. So inside here we need some variables or some values using these props. We should implement some values using these props. First one is going to be font size. Now the next one is going to be font weight. Font weight. And let me place this here. And now we are good to go. Actually, let me copy this for the inputs and the H4 elements. So in case if we need those attributes. If you get back over here inside this, I can set the font size to 1.2 rems. I don't know if that's good or not, but I'll try it. Looks like there's something broken here, or not. It's 1.5. Yeah, something broken here. Check this font size. Should work actually. I don't know what's the problem here. Check this. So the problem is we don't have any columns and columns at the end of this CSS stylings. But it's not. So the problem is we should write a semicolon at the end of each styling line. So in order to do that, I'm going to change this to this one. So we'll use this one, move this, close it over here, and escape this using $sign and the brackets. So and add a semicolon over here. So if we go ahead and do this for others, it should work fine. Column here, column here. Copy this, paste this over here, move those, and change this to gray. And if press save, you can see it's fixed. So let me copy this, paste it for the input. And the H4. So let's get back over here and give those the value of maybe 1.5 RAM. It's good. Let me see. H5 sounds fine. I'm going to use it for H4. Or here 1.5. Yeah, as you can see, it's good. We should make this one a little smaller. So font size 2. Let's see if it's fine. Or 1.1 rem. Yeah, that's better. It's actually kind of the same. We should change this to uppercase. It seems fine to me. We could change the font weight of this to maybe 500 or 600. Let's see if it changes. No, it doesn't change. So let's see if there's a problem. We don't have the font weight. I misspelled it here, so yeah, as you can see, it changed the font weight. So now we have done that. Let's go ahead and style this over here. Inside here, I will give this a font size of um, 20 maybe. Yeah, that's good. Or we could use the rem units, 1.2 rems. That was kind of the same. The color is gray. We don't need to change that already, and it's actually done. Okay, so let's go ahead and close this, and this, and get back over here inside our home page. So the other elements that we are going to design is the big carousel and the small carousel. So in order to do that, I'm going to define a content wrapper here. Content style.div, and give it a display of flex. Flex direction is going to be column. We need to set the overflow to auto. So if it's get too much content, it should be scrollable. And so we are going to hide the scroll bar using this command. Scroll bar width, I guess. Scroll bar, or it's the same. I don't know. I don't get the IntelliSense. So to 0, and there's a WebKit for it, but I don't think you have to use it because styled components automatically uses the WebKits and the other attributes automatically. They import it automatically. So I will give it a row gap of 1.5 rem. It will gap between the items, between the rows. You can see these gaps. It will make those gaps appear. And we need to give it a padding top of 3 rems because the item is going to be right under this, and we don't want that. We need some padding. So I think that's it for this content wrapper. So let me include it here, and let's create the big carousel. To do that, I'm going to create a new file here called big carousel.style.js, and import styled from styled component, React functional component, remove this, const equals to style.div, and yeah, that's it. Let's replace these two elements here, and we should be fine. Let me use it here, the big carousel. If I type something here, you should see it right over here. So now that we have created our carousel, let's define the elements that we are going to use inside this carousel. So we need a wrapper, which we have defined. We need a title container, which is this, contains these two. Style.span. We need a see all button. See all. Also style.span, or maybe a link. We need item list, a list that contains this item and is scrollable horizontally. Also style that's div, and we need we don't need anything else, so let's go ahead and style those elements that we are just defined here. So we need the padding for this 0, 0, 0, 0, 1 rem, top padding, right padding, bottom padding, and the left padding. Top, right, bottom, and left. We need 1 rem padding for the left. As you can see, there is a padding on the right, on the left, but on the right there is no padding. The carousel just goes beyond the overflow, and as we said that before, it's going to get hidden. So no worries here. Min height, we should give these carousels min height, because if they are in a flex box and they don't have a min height, you cannot make them scrollable. You should keep that in mind. It's a bit tricky using flexbox. Min content, it calculates the content and set the min height depending on content. So for the wrapper, that's all. Let's move to the title container. Inside the title container, we should set the display to flex and justify the content. Just justify content to space between, so they get on the two separate ways. They get there will be a space between them. They both stick to the sides as far as they could. So the next one is padding right of 1 rem, because as you can see, the carousel goes on beyond the padding, but there's a padding for the title container. So we could use the padding for this, or we could apply that to the title container. So that's what we just did here. So let's go to the next element. See, all the color is going to be colors dot primary colors primary. There is no colors here. Let me import that, and should be fine. Yes, we're fine now. Let's give this a font weight of 600. In the item list, we need to set the item list display to flex, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we need to set this to flex, and flex direction should be row, because the carousel is going to be scrollable horizontally, not vertically. So let's give it a margin of top, margin top 1 rem, column gap of 1 rem 2. The display is flex already. We need to set the overflow, X overflow. If anything goes past this axis, it should be hidden. But if anything goes past the Y axis, it should be scrolled. So we set the overflow of X to hidden, or sorry, to scroll, and the overflow of Y is automatic. We don't need to set the scroll bar width to 0 to hide the scroll bar, and That's all. Okay, for the carousel, we're going to need these items that we just defined. So let's use them. We need a title container right over here. In the title container, we need to uh, use h3. We don't have h3 right now, so let's go ahead and create it. We have h4 and h5, so I'm going to create a new file called h3.style.js and copy this from here, paste it over here, change the name to h3. It should be lowercase here, and there you go, we got the h3. So in here, use that h3 close. We're going to get an error, so let me import that manually. H3 from here. So we're going to get the title from props, so I will destructure those props here and use them over here. And we should go back here and give this a title of popular. And save this. As you can see, we got the popular here. And the next one we're going to use CL. Going to use the CL, give it a href of this. It's not good to give the link href of nowhere, but it's just development and design course, so we don't care about that right now. And CL here is lowercase. As you can see, it's good to go. Let's make the list here. Use the listing here, list item. And there you go. We need to define the carousel items too, so I'm going to come over here and define a new file called bcarouselitem.styled.js, and same as before, import styled from style components, React functional components, remove this, copy this, remove this, type this here equals to style.div, and copy this and paste it here and be good to go. Okay, for the carousel item, we need the following styled components. First is going to be the title container, which is this one. It contains all of this. So I'm going to define it here. Title container goes to style dot span. Actually, we need some icons here. For example, the arrow icon. So I'm going to import the bootstrap arrow right from React icons slash ps, and as you can see, we need a background for this. Import bg image from assets images, and I'm going to use orange forest dot jpeg and save this, and save the big carousel over here. And let's go to the assets image, and I misspelled it here, so I should change it to orange, and now we're good to go. Let me include it here. So is the item, 3 of those. So as you can see, we got them here. We got error. We cannot find the orange it's fine. I misspelled it here. Forest. Check this. Actually, copy and paste. It's not working. It's weird. Here's a problem. It's images, not the image. So if we refresh, we can see we have this. It's scrollable, but we don't see the items because there is nothing inside them. So let me type something here. As you can see, we got 3 of them. So let's remove this. Come over here. Define the styled components that we need for this carousel item. Comes the data, calls the style dot span. The data is this one here. It applies to that. And for the next step, we need the that's all actually. That's all. Okay. So let's do this. We should move this down here because we are going to use this inside this styling here, inside here. So if we use them before they get initialized, there's going to be an error. So let's style the title component or the title container. It's going to be width of 100%. Display is going to be flex. Justify content. It's going to be center over space between space when font size is 1 rem, font bay is normal, and that's it. Like next one, the next component, we need to use the color equals to colors dot background. We should import the colors background width of 100%, font size of 1.5 rem, font bay of 600, and that's all for it. Let's move to the element wrapper itself, right over here, and we need to give it a border radius because of this border radius 10. I'm going to use 10 pixels. Background image, it's the image that we just imported here, and BG image. Background size is going to be 100%. The cursor, the cursor is going to be pointer. So when we hover over the items, the mouse change to the pointer. Cursor change to the pointer. Next step is to set the display to flex direction to the column. Let's see if we need that. No, we don't need to change that. So I'm going to remove this and give it a padding instead. Padding of 100 pixels, 1 rem, 100 pixel for top, 1 rem for sides, other sides. The reason we give this it's a problem. Okay, we missed it's one of these over here. So if we save now and refresh, it should work fine. As you can see, we got this here. So let's give it some content and some min width. As I told you before, your um your items inside a flex box, if they are going to be scrollable, they should have a min width or height depending on the scrolling axis, if it's vertical or it's horizontal. So I'm going to give it a min width of 300 pixels and save those. As you can see, we can scroll it, and we're going to hide this scroll bar using oh wait, we don't have to hide it here. We should go ahead and hide it inside this item list here. This one. Let me change it to scroll bar. Scroll bar width goes to 0 as we set right over here, and the WebKit scroll bar display to none. That's it. As you can see, we hide it. So if we get back here, I think we're fine to go ahead and define those inside. No, we need the transition for the animation, but we will go to that later. So let's come down here and use the elements that just created. We need to use the data, wrap them all in data. The price is $50. We need to use the title container here, and it's going to contain this sentence: best of Bali waterfalls, and arrow icon. Yes, arrow. Right. As you can see, we got those already up and running. So let's animate it. To animate this, we are going to come over here and give a transition value. Transition of we are going to transition the background, so I'm going to give the background size, and 0.4 seconds. It should take for 0.4 seconds. So when does this happen? When we hover over it. So we come over here and say, when we hover over the element itself, hover, do this, change the background size to 105%. So let's see. As you can see, if we hover over it, it changes, but we need to change the font size of the arrow here. So do this right here really quick, or change it maybe inside here. Let's see. I could do that. Never mind. Let's first transition those. We could come over here and say font size to 1.2 rems. 1.2 rems. Or 3. Or even 5. Yeah, 5 sounds fine. And come over here inside this title container. We're going to access this using the title container. As you can see, the title container is here, and it contains a icon. The icon is being rendered inside the SVG. Inspect it here. As you can see, there is SVG inside it is a title container. It's the title and it's the icon. So we could access the SVG using this parent or the object itself, the component itself. The direct SVG that contains inside the direct SVG child of this parent should get these values that we type here. The value is going to be font size 1.5 rem. I'm going to remove it from here, and it should have the transition of margin, right? Because we're going to change the margin, or margin in general, 0.3 seconds. And if you come over here, you could change the margin of this SVG by accessing it through the styled components like this. We're going to type, uh, let's see, yeah, we need to type inside the hover and access it this way. The parent, the direct child, you can get the CS generated CSS class here name, so generated CSS class name by using the item names itself by escaping it. So I'm going to type it like this: data, the direct child, the title container, and the speech. So when we hover over this, the SVG margin should be margin right, should be 0.5 rem. And if we hover over it, you can see we get the animation. And the carousel is the big carousel is done. If we use another carousel, you can see it comes right beneath it. Another one, you can see we get scroll. But the problem is we got the scroll bar here, so let's hide it. Let's go here into the home page and the content, and use the WebKit one. WebKit scroll bar. Make sure WebKit scroll bar display to none. As you can see, it goes away. So now that we have created our big carousel, let's go ahead and create the small carousel. In order to do that, I'm going to create a new file called small carousel.styled.js. Style.js, import the styled from, or auto import it for us. React functional component, same story here. Remove this. Style.div. Copy this, paste it over here, and it's good. We need to copy those from here. These ones, or all, not all of them. This one over here. Paste it here. Take this, remove this, give it to here. We don't have any title container here. We don't have any all. We don't have any items, so we just copied them for no reason. So let's go, and we need a title over here. There's no extra elements. There's just title. I destructured the title from props. I passed the title here. Let me import some small carousel. Title is going to be, let's see, title is going to be categories. Categories. As you can see, we got the categories over here, so we need a background image. Import bg image from assets images, and I'm going to use let's see which image I should use. I'm going to use the winter forest, this one. Winter forest, the JPEG, and over here I can style it and give the styling to the element itself. So we need some border radius here first. border radius equals to 10 pixels. We need background image, which we just imported. Image equals to URL, $sign brackets, and bg image. Next one is going to be background size equals to 100. The cursor is going to be pointer. The display is flex because we are going to set the item center. You could do that using other methods, but I preferred flex. Justify content on center. Then we need to give it the align items center 2. We need to set the color to white or the background. Next step is going to be set the font size to 1.5 rem or 1.15. Spell font weight 500. Min width, as I told you before, we need to set this to 200 pixels. Padding 1 rem for the top and bottom and 2 rem for the sides. Okay, now we got this. Now that done this, we should go ahead and do a transition. Go back here, small carousel. Over here we need this stuff. We need the actually we do need the list item, or we don't. Let me see. Small carousel. So I was doing this wrong. These attributes are for the small carousel item, not for the small carousel container itself. So let me create a file called small carousel item .styled.js. Import styled from styled components, get functional components, close style.div, and paste all of those here inside the item. We get the title, and we need to replace this here. Use the title over here. So get back over here, and we should use we could use this. Go to the carousel, copy this one, paste it over here, and take the item list. It's going to be exactly the same item list, and I'm going to wrap this in item here. So we need the h3 here, which is going to hold the title. We need the item list, and we need the small carousel item with the title, or the category. In this case it's activity. Sorry, it's fixed now. Activity and relax. We have another one, but we don't see the fix this first. But we don't see the titles. So it's the small carousel item. here. It's fixed now. As you can see, we got this over here. So it's fine for now. Let's get back over here. Side Okay, let's take this border radius, background image, background size, cursor, display, justify content, align items, color, font size, font weight, min width, and we got the font layer right here, padding, and here of this. And if you go back over here to the item, we should give it some transition, like the other one, transition to background size and 0.4 seconds. Background size 0.4 seconds, and when we hover over this, background size should get changed to 105%. So you can see it works. Okay, as you can see, it's not the size that we wanted. The reason is this padding. If we remove this, it should work right now. We got the small carousel for ourselves here. And the next step is going to be designing this navigation menu here. So in order to do that, we're going to close these two, get back over here. So for the navigation, we need to create a component called nav menu .js. Inside the nav menu, we need to import styles, React functional component, copy this, ILB, or use the nav tag here. And we need 3 icons for this navigations. I'm going to import AI outline search, and AI outline user from React icons AI. And we need one more icon, the bookmark, BSC bookmark from React icons. Yes. So with our icons, we need to import colors. Let's go to the styling. We need two styled components here. We got one already. We need another one called nav item. Also style, that's A. Okay. Come down here. Create a nav item. 3 of those, actually. 3 of those. First one is going to be, it's going to contain this icon. Second one is going to contain the bookmark, and the last one is going to contain the user icon. Yeah, outline user. Yeah. Now that we've done that, we should give these nav items href, because they are links. We could remove the links from here and convert it into a, I don't know, span, div or anything, and use the onClick function, and it doesn't really matter because we don't use navigation here in this specific project, but you could use anything you want. You don't have to stick with the A tag. So next step is going to be to define this. Oh, let me include it inside the home page first. Let's go back over here, and in this line we import the nav menu. Okay, let's style this. This bookmark is not exported from React icons. Okay, now the problem is the spelling here. Should copy this. It's not here. It should go away. You can see this here. Let's come over here and start styling. The navigation is going to get the position absolute. It should stick to the bottom. So the bottom is going to be 0. The width is going to be 100% of the parent, which is the whole page. And background color is equal to colors.background. The display is going to be flex, and the set index is 2. The justify content is center. Center. Oh, sorry. Space around. We should want to separate them around. Space around. Align items. Center. And the padding of 0.6 rem for the top and bottom, and 0 rems for the sides. We're going to use a box shadow here because there's a small shadow over here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a shadow. So I'm going to use a box shadow. 0 pixel, 0 pixel, 20 pixel, RGBA, 0.1. And we got this nice little shadow here. Now in the next step we are going to go ahead and style the links themselves. So go over here, we give them text. We've already set here to set the text decoration for the A tags to none and the color to the black. So let's go back over here and set the font size to 1.8 rem, and the color is going to be there's a little trick here which we could use with past this. We use the props again, props.active. If it's active, the color is if it's active, the color is going to colors nav active, and if it's not, the color is going to be colors.disable. So as you can see, they are all disabled because none of them has the active. But if we come here and give, for example, this one active, you can see the colors change. So you can use states here and change the active for each of them. So when you navigate, you get the different color for the active navigation item. Okay. There is a navigation. Let's go back to the second page. Now that we've done this, as you can see, I'm going to create another big carousel here called refinement. So as you can see, we got the first page over here, full of functional animated, so it's time to move to the second page. So now that we have our main page over here done and ready, we should go ahead and create this page. I'll call this info page. So let's create the component for that page. Info page.js, and inside here we're going to need to import styled from styled components. We need to import the colors. We need to create a variable called info page, or let me do this first. React functional component info page element equals to styled dot div, and we need another styled component called content. We could make this content a shared variable, a shared component like this, but I'd rather not to right now, but we could do that. It's a good idea. So it's div. Again, we need one more item here, which is this top border, because we are going to implement this. It's right here. It overlaps the top image. We could make this a div and translate it minus 50% or 10% top, so it will overlap this, but there will be a gap over here. So I rather to create a new component and place it on top of this instead of getting a gap over here. So go here, span, and I will replace this with this div. Let's style this. Display is going to be flex. The flex direction is a column, same as the home page. Flex is 1 for the pages. Overflow equals to hidden. We could create a wrapper for the page and paste this all in it. Shared component for the page, and you just put the content in it. You could do that too. Position equals to relative. Position is relative, and let's go to the other item, which is content border radius. As you can see over here, right over here, we got this border for top and right, top right and top left. So we're going to define it as following: 15 pixel for the top right and top left, and 0 for the bottom left and bottom right. The next one is going to be background color equals to, or is colors dot background. Next one is overflow dot auto. Scroll bar width equals to 0. The other one is display dot flex direction is a column, and the row gap is 1.5 rem, same as the last content. And we need to set the WebKit scroll bar to not display, not WebKit scroll bar to display none. There you go. For this one, we need to set the width to 100%, It's going to need a min height of 1 rem, the background color of colors dot background. Border radius is going to be same as not the same, but border radius. It's going to be a 3 pixels, 30 pixels, and 0, 0 for the bottom side. And the position is going to be absolute. The bottom is going to be 0 because we want it to stick to the bottom, or in this case I'm not sure if we want it to stick to the bottom, so let it stick to the top. If we don't set that, it will stick to the top and left, I guess. So it's going to have a Z index of 0. Now we have this, let's implement them here. So we have info, we don't have info top section, which is this right now, so I will use the content for now. Content and the info on the top border. We have the info right now. I will use the top border. Okay, in here we're going to define this top section. So let me do that over here. Call it info page top section dot js import styled. We need the style, we need the icons, we need 2 icons here and a star icon. So import AI tower or AI 2 to import its icon AI two-tone star from AI. We need to import BSC chevron left and the bookmark. Now we got those. We're going to, in this page we need another element like this edge, which is going to be h2. So h2 style.js. Let me copy this from here, paste it over here, select this h2, make this lowercase, and to go. Import h2 from spell the import h2 from styled and h2. Next thing we're going to use is to import the colors. Then we need background image for top section. Import the image from the assets image, and I'm going to use the winter forest.jpg. And we need to import, we don't have that actually, we need to create another p tag, style tag called p.style.js. P is going to be kind of the same as the last elements we defined, so let's go ahead over here and select all of this, paste them all here, change this to p, make this lowercase. Okay, we have the color, we have the font size, we have the font weight. We need some more, like the text align and no pre. I'm going to use pre for the white space. Text line and the no pre. So it's going to be changed over here to text line, and I'm going to change this over here, change this over here, and make it white space, and we're good to go now. If we get the pre and the white space, yeah, it's good. Yeah, let's get back here and use our P. Use our P. That sounds way far from what it meant, but let's go from styled and the P element. In here, in the top section, we're going to need React functional component. Copy these, paste it here. Sorry. Copy this, paste it here, add an L, style dot section. We need top menu, which is going to contain these two. Equals the style span. Let's see, what do we need here? We have the top menu. We need hero. Equals style dot section or div. Now that we have this, let me replace it over here and here. Let's get to the styling. For the top section, we're going to give it the background image first. Background image equals to URL. Background image equals to URL. And like this, give it the BG image, same as the last ones. The background size is cover. Background size is going to be cover. Background, not background min height. It's going to be 50% of the parent, which is in this case is the whole viewport, whole page, I guess. Background position is going to be 16% and 0. Let me show you. We have the main page still loaded here. Let me change that over here inside the app and replace this with info page. If we go over here and navigate to info, okay, so what's the problem here? There is a problem. Oh, I spelled it here. So save, fresh, should be fine. Okay. Back to the info page. Info page top section. Let me include it here inside the info page element. Page top section. And we have a problem here, winter forest. Maze. As you can see, the background position changed the position of the background. I wanted the animals to be shown inside the picture. If you changed it to 0, you can see that it goes to the right. So I moved it a little bit to the left, so we get a better view. Now let's go to the top menu. Okay. In the top menu, we need to set the display to flex, and just justify the content by content to space round or between, and the padding is going to be 1 rem. for each respective side, and the width is going to be 100%. The font size is 1.5 rem, and the color is going to be colors dot background, or the white in this case, and going to use the selector for the switchy to set the cursor to pointer, or and we can move this here. There's no difference in this case because there's no text or anything, it's just SVGs inside this container, so it's a bit more specific here. Now that we have this, let's go to the hero section. Hero section, the display is going to be flex direction is going to be column, align items is going to be center, color is going to be colors dot background, and the margin top is going to be 50% of the whole viewport, 50% of the whole page. So we cannot set this to a percentage, because if we set that to percentage, it will take the parent, which is this, and set it based off that, but we wanted to take the whole element, the whole page, the whole viewport. So now that we have done that, let's go down here and use our elements here that we just created. Okay, we need to include the top menu first. Here, inside the top menu, we will use our two items, BSC chevron left and the BSC bookmark. As you can see, they appear up here. It's not very visible. If I zoom in, you can see that. So font size is fine, I guess. After that, we're going to use the hero outside the top menu. Inside the hero, we need the stars. So I will create span. Here, I'm not going to style this. Put this inside here. We could go ahead and say star. What was the icon? Yeah, two-tone stars. And you can see I can duplicate it 5 times, but I'm not going to do that. I will show you guys how to do it using the map function. You could go ahead and say 345 that map, and I pass it over here, return it, this, and the key is going to be 5. It's just a workaround I use to duplicate the objects, so as you can see, it gets you the same results. And in the next part, we need H2. Inside the H2, we need the best of Bali waterfalls. Down here inside the P, let's use the P tag. Call it tip. I don't know how to pronounce it. Tipumana, Tukat, Sipong, and need a BR here. Sorry, just gets me confused. Tijenun, I don't know how to pronounce it. Waterfalls. Period. So let me remove this. this, and we should pass in the text align center like that. As you can see, we got this like what we got here. So let's go on and move to the next section. So, as we got nothing to do in here anymore, so we go back into the info section, info page, sorry. Inside the info page, we have the info tab section right now. We have the content, we have the top border, and next things we should create is the tab container, because there is the content. We got the content here. It is the content that wraps around this. There is a tab container inside the content, which is these tabs, and the tab content, which is this, and we have another info bar down here, which is kind of same as this navigation, takes the place of it. So let's create the tab content here. So to create the tab content, I will create new file, or we could use the tab content as a styled component. A file and a file called tab container dot styled dot js. Inside here we need to import styled. We need to import colors. We need to actually we don't need to import that right now. So let's go ahead and create a React functional component. There you go. Got this tab container element here. We need the tabs. The tabs is a wrapper for this section specifically, right here. It's tabs. The tab headers actually is going inside the styles.div. We need the tab itself. Tab is this one of this. Place this here so we can check it out. Nice. Like this. Tabs equals to style.span. And let me see. We need a tab content to count. Tab content, which is the placeholder for the contents right here. Style.div. So let's get to the styling here. For that, I'm going to replace like this. If, we should set the display to flex direction to column, and overflow to auto. Inside the tabs, we need to set the display to flex, justify content to space spin. Let's skip the padding for now. Go to the border radius. Border radius. Or the bottom, sorry. Bottom is because there's a line over here. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's very thin, but there is a line here. So we need to set that using border bottom. Border bottom equals to 1 pixel solid, and the color is going to be colors dot border. Next step is to set the padding. Paddings are all individual, so 1.5, or we no, cannot do that. We should set them all individual values. So 0.5 RAM and 1.5 RAM over here. 0 for the top, 1.5 RAM for the sides, or left and right, and 0.5 rem for the bottom. There's going to be a Z index of 1, so it will cover this one, and the min height is going to be min content. Press save. Yes. Let's move to the other component, which is tab. Tab gets the min height of min content. I think the next one takes it too. Let's see. No, the tab content don't take it, so let's continue. Font size 1.2 rems. Font weight is 600. Cursor is pointer, and the padding is going to be 0.5 rems and 1 rem. So there you go. Let's move to tab content. Tab content padding. Tab content padding is 1 rem and 2 rem for the top and bottom. Next step is overflow to auto. Auto. The flex is going to be 1 because we want it to take the available space. Flex is 1. Scroll bar width is 0, and the bracket scroll bar display to none, same as others. So now that we have styled those, let's implement them. We should use these tabs here first. Inside the tabs we get 3 tabs called Overview, Photo, and the Reviews. Right after that we're going to use the tab content, or the tab container, sorry, which is empty for the moment. We will create a tab and put it in here. So for now let's save this. Refresh this. See if anything changes. Okay, we need to use a tab container here. Sorry, tab container, tab content at this point. So I misspelled the tab container here, and I fixed it, and everything is good to go now. We got the tab container inside the info page, inside the content, right beside the top border, and over here you can see that we have the tab container element, the tabs, and the tab content. So we don't have anything to put here right now, but we will create an overview tab and place it in here. Let's get back here and check this tab border. The reason we don't see this this top border because we need to translate it, transform it, and translate y and minus 15%, sorry, minus 90%. And as you can see, we get this overlap view here, which is pretty cool. We can change the size over here if we come to the info page top section and change this percentage here to 60. You can see that it gets a little bit smaller. We'll set it to 55. Sounds good. We could change it anytime. So let's get back over here and create our tab overview. In order to do that, I'm going to create a new file here, overview view tab.js, and I will im import this, import the styles, and next thing we need to do is to import some icons. For example, we need the clock icon and the globe icon. So import the AI outline, clock circle, import BS globe, and import. We got the styles already. We need to import the colors. We need to import the P again. P, and let's create a React functional component. Const L equals to style.div. Replace this with this one over here. Const info equals to style.div, and the styling should be like this. Displays flex direction equals to column, row gap is equal to 0.5 rems, font weight equals to 600, and the margin bottom is 1 rem. That's it. Now let's implement those inside the page, inside the tab. So in order to do that, I'm going to use the info here, right here, to wrap them all. There's a span. I'm not going to style it with this icon in it, AI outline clock circle. As you can see, I get the IntelliSense auto completion here, so I can go ahead and say AI fill alert, and it will auto import it for me. But it's a bit tricky. It's caching, I guess, or my Visual Studio Code is bugged. I don't know, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So I prefer this one, but you could try it. Go ahead and try it, see if it's worked for you. So let's get back over here, remove this, and hours, 8 hours. We get this font size of 1.2 rems, 1.2 rem, and the color of primary color is colors dot primary. Let's see, we should import the overview tab here. As we import this, we see this one. In the next step, we need to go ahead and create another span. Sorry, another span here, and change the icon with VS Globe. The font size stays the same, and the text is going to be changed to offered in upper N English. So now we've done that, we got those. Let's come. Yeah, as you can see, there is a bit of misfunction misfunctionality in the alignments. We could fix that by using Flexbox, but I rather not to use it because I've already used a lot of Flexbox, so I will skip this. But it's so easy. You replace the spans with styled components, give them Flexbox, and align the items center, justify the content center, depending on the flex direction. So let's move on. We we have the info. Now we have to use the p tag and type some lorem here. So let me go ahead and grab some uh, lorem, not the quorum, lorem. There is this side, this side. No, my connection is dead, I guess. If I'm not mistaken, there is extension for the Chrome for the Visual Studio Code called lorem. Yeah, there you go. I think it's the one. See how does it work? Oh, it's the command line type. So let me install it. Oh, actually, we got it loaded here, so copy this. But we will test the extension. Let's test the extension. In here, we have to press F1, lorem, paragraph. Nice. If we go ahead and save this, you can see we got scrollable info over here, nice and clean. So I will change it to no pre, and there you go. Now we should go ahead and design this bar here. So we close the, I will keep this. The overview tab is done. We need to design the info bar. So let's go ahead and create the info bar component in here, new file called info bar.js, and import styled from styled component, import import button. We don't have the button, but we will make it in a sec. From styled, sorry, not the styled component. Let me create the button first. Button is one of those shared items. So button.style.js, and in here import styled. Now for the button, we need to import style. We need to import the colors. Actually, I'm going to create a new section inside the colors called gradients. It's a good idea to structure your projects this way. So if you want to change a color, you get the change in all of your projects. So I will come here and call this one. I will export object comes gradients. Called gradients. It's equal to an object. I'll call the first item primary gradient actually, and it takes two colors. The first one I'm going to use is, I actually get the colors like this. I have an application called let me see, it's instant eyedropper option. The option is for this window, but the name is instant eyedropper. You could go ahead and grab any colors in page you want. I get the left one and the right one. So left one is going to be first, and the right one is going to be this one over here. So easy as that. Let's go back to the bottom, import the colors and the gradient. Because it's exported by default, you should import it like this, but the gradient is one of the many exports. There's not many, but if you create another one, you can import it this way. So let's create the button. Actually, the let me check something first. Yes, the buttons. We don't need any icons for the button, so we'll go ahead and create the styled component. Button equals to styled dot button here, and I'm going to export it as default. Export default. Yep. I don't know why I keep misspelling the default button, and let's style it. The button background is going to be gradient, so I'm going to use background image is uh, the linear gradient, and this one is going to take to right. We tell the tell the styler to where to uh, drag the gradient to the right, from the left to the right, as you can see over here. Um, and the next step, I misspelled the gradient. Yes. Now we're going to give it the colors. The first one is going to be this colors. Sorry, gradient dot primary first element, and sorry, the gradient second item, which is the second color. So here you go for the gradient. The next attribute is going to be we don't need the border for the button. None. Let me import the button first. Let's see if we can do it. No, we don't have the info bar, sorry. So let's keep going. Border non-border border radius is 30 pixels. The cursor is pointer. The flex is going to be 1, so it takes all the available space. Color is uh, background white. The background. The font weight is 600. The font size is 1.1 rems, and min high is 3 rems. We are going to need a box shadow for this, as you can see over here. So box shadow RGBA 000.25 and 0 pixel, 25 pixel, 50 pixels, and minus 12 pixels. There you go, it's your button. Let's go back inside the info bar and import the button like that. And inside the info bar we need let's see, info bar, we need the button within the style. That's all. Let's go ahead and create the React component function, React function component, and const this style to div, not dov, div, and in the next step we need to left texts, which is going to contain this. Go to style.span, const left subtext span, which is this one per person, and that's all. Let's style them. First of all, we need to set the width to 100%. Then we need to set the display to flex. Then the column gap to 1 rem. The padding to 1 rem, 2 rem for the size. Box shadow. There is a shadow here, same as the navigation menu. Shadow is 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 20 pixels, RGBA, 0.1. There you go for the info bar element. Next one is left texts. Display is flex. Flex. Flex direction is column. Font size is 1.5 rem. And font weight is bold. The line height is 1. And in here we need to set the font size to 1 rem. And the font weight to normal. We don't want it to be bold. So let's implement those. We replace this with this div over here, and we need the left texts. Left texts. Actually, I didn't polarize it. Actually, it's left text. Let's left texts. And inside this, I'm gonna type 15 bucks, 50 bucks, and left subtext is per person. So let's include this button here, and book now. So we should use this bar over here in info page. Let's see, where should we put that? Right after the content. So info bar right after the content. Okay, let's see what's happening here. Refresh the page. Yes, we can see that, but the problem is with the color. Let's inspect this page. There's a problem with this. Yes, I forgot to space between them. So that's a problem. So in order to fix that, I'm going to head to the bottom. Where's bottom? Here. And there you go. Is it space or is it column? I don't know. Let's see. It's column. Yeah. You got the nice gradient here. We got this. Now it's the time. Now that the design is finished, it's time to make the navigation work through these buttons. So to use the navigation, I'm going to come over here inside the carousel, the big carousel. I'm not going to give the attributes to the. Oh, sorry. Go here. I'm not going to give the click and the re-navigate to this one, to the small carousel. I will give it to the big carousel. So I will come here inside the big carousel item. Inside here, we're going to need something called use navigation from React DOM. Use navigate, not the navigation, sorry. Use navigate, and we're going to use it like this over here. We say we should first create a object of it. Use navigate, and in here we can say unclick. Unclick. When we click on this, use the nav and navigate to info page. Just like that. If we save and we press on it, you can see if we go to the info page, if we go back here, but we want this button to work. So let's go over here inside the info page tab section, and import the use navigate. Use navigate from React DOM, and same as before, we're going to come here const nav equals to use navigate, and in here unclick nav -1. -1 means take us back to the page before, not specifically the home page, the page before. It doesn't matter what's the page, what's the layer, it's a stack, it takes you to the last component or the page. So if you save this, go over here, click on this, you can see that we get back over here. So tutorial is over. We've managed to implement this beautiful design by Anna using React and styled components. Please like and subscribe, and share this with someone you think needs to learn React and styled components, and take care.